she said, my husband has taken a second bride. She also described that she's younger and so on, found out from someone else, and the kids are running wild, and she said that I feel that I'm losing my deen and I want to go back to my country and so on. This is a very complicated issue, because sometimes when one of us is tested, let me give you an example. Once somebody was coming to attend the prayer with us in the masjid in America. Then he got a traffic ticket, a speeding violation. So he was talking to me that how God can do that to me while I was coming to pray. He said, He did not do that to you, you did it to yourself. You were speeding up. Allah did not ask you to speed up. And if somebody got a flat tire while he was going to give somebody a ride or do a good thing, it is not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not happy with you and you're going to retaliate. The tone of the sister when she's saying that, I'm thinking to convert or to leave the country and go back to my faith or whatever, indicates that we have a long way to go in learning what is the meaning of deen or religion or belief. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ, who chose to accept Islam, sacrificed everything for the sake of their belief. That's why it is called belief. People die simply for their belief. Muslims are persecuted worldwide, not only in North America and in Europe, in Switzerland, in Australia, but also in the Muslim countries for their religious commitment, because they believe that they're doing that for the sake of Allah, and Allah will reward them, and they are on the straight path. And that's why people die for the sake of that. We're being stopped at airports, being questioned, being harassed for the sake of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We believe that we're good people. We're doing our best to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if somebody is tested for your husband taking a second wife, it's a test for you. And we do not know exactly the circumstances. Maybe it was due for him. Did he do something haram? As far as taking a second wife, it is not haram. A third wife, it is not haram. Unless if he violated your rights, if he did not deal with you guys fairly and justly, or if he is incapable to suffice both your needs, whether the financial needs or any other needs, because al-ba'a, or the ability to cover the expenses of marriage and maintaining the marriage life, is required for the first or the second wife. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you cannot afford to be just, then فَوَاحِدَةً, one is enough. So I want to tell you that when you believe, you only believe because you're convinced. Not because of any calamity, even pertaining your husband taking another bride, that you're going to abandon the deen. That would not reduce the asset of the deen an art. And that would not make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affected an art. Rather, Allah the Almighty says, O my servants, if all of you, the very first to the very last, from the very first human that He created, Adam, to the very last before the Day of Judgment, all of you were as believers, as the most strongest believer of you, that would not increase my domain and art. And if all of you, humans and jinn, the very first and the very last, disbelieved in me and rejected me as your Lord, that too would not decrease my domain and art. So a person, by thinking about converting, abandoning the deen, or even committing suicide, is basically hurting no one but himself or herself. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. He said, give glad tidings to those who endure calamities patiently. Not because they enjoy it, but because it's something that Allah have ordained to test all of us. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They say, we all belong to Allah, and unto Him we shall return. If you believe in Allah truly, then really nothing can affect your faith, and you need to repent and you need to discuss this issue of your children and the second marriage of your husband with your husband, perhaps ask for a marriage counseling if needed.